CTV News at 11:30 with Ian Campbell and Rick Wyman with weather.
Well, good evening. Thanks for staying up with us. The clock is ticking on a possible strike by faculty at Laurentian University in Sudbury. Today, students and teachers gathered for a demonstration in support of the right to bargain freely and fairly. CTV's Lindsay Alex starts us off tonight.
Noisemakers fill Laurentian University's Parker Atrium.
I'm actually shocked to see how many people came out. I knew I had a lot of my peers behind me, but it's been really great. The faculty have been amazing, and we're all just really optimistic over what can happen over the weekend.
Holmes organized the event, which aims to call on the administration and Board of Governors to engage in transparent and equitable negotiations with LUFA. She is a fourth-year student and dreams of becoming a teacher one day herself.
Even when I was in high school, I was a big supporter of our teachers' rights and rights to collective bargaining, and I think it's really important for us to stand up as a community for our teachers because they're really the cornerstone of our community. So I think it's really important to stand up for what's right.
According to officials with the university, over the weekend, negotiations will be overseen by a mediator. In the event of a strike, the post-secondary institution says in a statement, the campus will remain open. Classes, labs, seminars, and other activities led by faculty members and instructors, both online and in person, would stop temporarily. Activities led by university staff will continue, including most student services. Most courses offered by the Center for Teaching and Continuing Learning will still be offered. University officials continue saying, in part, we will provide an update via email as soon as possible before Monday morning, noting that negotiations may continue late into Sunday evening. The university remains dedicated to negotiating in good faith to find an agreement that is fair to LUFA members while protecting the long-term financial sustainability of the university. Members plan to withhold their services and begin a strike as of January 19th at 12:01 a.m. if an agreement cannot be reached by then. Lindsay Alex, CTV News, Sudbury.
A company wanting to create a solid and hazardous waste facility in the greater Sudbury community of Coniston faced questions from residents. That's after the city's planning committee deferred its decision to rezone the property owned by Green for Life Environmental. CTV's Madison Merrier explains.
The meeting started with a presentation but quickly turned into audience members seeking answers to their concerns.
Come off of the Coniston Hydro Road and come up the back.
It's mostly the traffic, the added amount of traffic coming into Coniston, leaving Coniston, and in a community that seems very ill-adapted to heavy industrial traffic.
GFL has waste permissions from the province and is now seeking zoning approval from the City of Greater Sudbury. It requires an official plan amendment to continue processing and transferring the hazardous and non-hazardous waste. Residents' concerns include an increase in traffic, road safety, and the title of hazardous waste.
We really didn't hear it from the city. There wasn't enough notice provided to us by the city, and in the end, it's ultimately going to be the city who makes this decision.
We're not the municipality. We're certainly just business owners operating here within the community and specifically within the industrial park. But from us, it's here listening, hearing the concerns, also having a different perspective on it.
The councillor from the Coniston ward says she'll be making some inquiries about short-term and long-term solutions to traffic concerns.
Is there an alternative route that can be looked at to getting the truck traffic out of the residential areas? It's not a quick fix, it's a longer term fix, but I think that's something that we as a city and the municipality can be looking at in the long term.
The zoning classification ignited some historical distrust.
We're so aware and so in tune to what we've done to Mother Nature, to our earth. We're never going to let it happen again. We've recovered and we've rebounded. But, you know, when they say M3 heavy industrial, that should be a deterrent for a company to come here because, boy, we are on guard.
Some concerns still remain regarding traffic in an already busy community. However, GFL apologized for previous miscommunication and clarified on average there'll be 30 trucks in and 30 trucks out. Madison Merrier, CTV News, Coniston.
A report heading to a Greater Sudbury committee next week says repairing thousands of damaged monuments at the municipal cemetery would cost more than $8 million. That's compared to the $53,000 in the budget for repairing headstones at all 18 municipal cemeteries in the city, while families of people interred in the cemetery are responsible for maintaining the grave sites. Many of the burials date back more than a century, making it a huge challenge to contact those families. The cemetery opened in 1884 and moved twice before settling on LaSalle Boulevard in 1910. Greater Sudbury Fire Services has changed its mind, allowing a burn barrel at Energy Court, an encampment site following a tent fire and death that occurred there earlier this week. As of Wednesday, Greater Sudbury Fire Services made an exception to allow the burn barrel to burn 24/7 for warmth at the site. The change comes as officials continue their investigation into the death of the woman Monday night. Lows in the city have been downright frigid this week, some evenings dipping past -20 degrees.
It's a lifesaver for some people. Me as well. Right now, it's better than standing in a cold.
Some of those risks have been mitigated through surveillance, through bylaw, as they are able to, through video surveillance, they're able to monitor the fire and determine that if it gets out of control, then suppression crews will be called to come and mitigate that risk.
Sudbury Fire says the city will supply the wood for the barrel. This is to ensure it is clean, dry wood to prevent anyone around the barrel from breathing in toxins. More money for hospitals in the Nipissing district, but as CTV's Eric Tashner tells us, the funding won't change the layoffs coming at North Bay Regional Health Centre.
All hospitals are expected to be fiscally accountable.
The CEO of the North Bay Regional Health Centre is relieved more provincial money is on the way. There's $10.7 million for the health centre and $500,000 for the Mattawa Hospital in base funding, trumpeted by Nipissing MPP Vic Fideli.
The Ministry of Health reports in and says, we've heard you that Northern Ontario and rural Ontario need additional funds.
The money for North Bay is an add-on to $15 million announced last month. The hospital's budget is around $330 million each year, while Fideli maintains it's
all designed to help the patients.
CUPE, the union that represents 1,000 hospital workers, doesn't see it that way.
In the long run, it's not going to shorten wait times. It's not going to get more staff on the unit for providing care.
The hospital says it's trying to find the right balance between running a business and operating as a vital healthcare link, acknowledging ongoing challenges it faces in its emergency department.
Emergency physicians, we're recruiting as hard as we can, as far afield as we can, and we are starting to see some successes.
When it comes to the previously announced 40 job cuts, which have been heavily criticized by union leaders, Heinrich promises those cuts won't impact patient care.
We've just improved the way we deliver it.
New figures from the union show staff mental health claims have skyrocketed by nearly 85% between October 2024 and September 2025.
The shortages in the hospital is causing very real strain on our members, and they continue to show up to work to provide the best care that they can.
According to its website, there are currently over 100 vacant positions at the North Bay Regional Health Centre. The union says the impact of 40 job eliminations remains unknown.
In the next 2 to 3 weeks, we should have more clarity as to whether anyone will end up indeed unemployed.
The hospital anticipates the number of staff members impacted could be much lower based on these new positions, retirements, attrition, and job transition. Eric Tashner, CTV News, North Bay.
Not everyone is happy about Canada's new agreement with China, making it easier for Chinese-made electric vehicles in the market. Premier Doug Ford says the EV deal could have a detrimental impact on the country's auto sector and result in job losses. The Premier calls the trade agreement lopsided, a mess. There are calls from the Premier, Unifor, and manufacturers for a comprehensive federal auto policy that supports jobs and resolves unanswered questions.
It's going to hurt every single auto manufacturer, every single supply chain that has anything to do with the auto sector. This was not thought out properly. It wasn't consulted. It was a knee-jerk reaction as far as I'm concerned.
What it means, I think, for our auto industry is the death knell. I'm very, very deeply concerned about it.
The opposition has accused the Premier of not doing enough to muscle into the conversation. And while at a North Bay news conference this morning, Ontario's Minister of Economic Development, Vic Fideli, calls Canada's move to slash tariffs, quote, a mess.
They should be focusing, instead of bringing in cars that are made with no environmental concerns, cars that are made with no employment standards, bringing those cars in here when they should be focusing on helping the Ontario car makers, the men and women who work at our auto plants who are under stress and under duress by these tariffs. They should be working with us to make more and build more here in Ontario.
Fideli calls letting China into Canada's marketplace a horrific mistake. Well, if you haven't been outside for a little while, this week has been downright cold, frigid. Just days away from Bell Let's Talk Day, experts say it's possible some of us may be dealing with seasonal affective disorder. Experts with the Canadian Mental Health Association say they have programs in place to help with different types of depression. Registered psychotherapist Charlie Sharkey tells CTV News it's important when the temperature dips in cases of sadness that you give yourself grace.
Because winter is so common and normal place in like Northern Ontario, I think we forget how much that impacts us and how difficult things can be in the winter. You have to wear more clothes, you have to drive slow, you have to clean off your car, and maybe if you're lucky, you can like preheat it from your house. But other than that, things are much more difficult. And then we're wondering why we're having worse moods and worse emotions and why we're struggling. But it's kind of a part of the season to be like a little bit more gentler with yourself.
Sharkey says it's going to be hard. There's no cure to seasonal affective disorder. It's about managing it and being more patient with ourselves. Bell Let's Talk Day this year is Wednesday, January 21st. Speaking of the weather, time now for a short break here on CTV News. Coming up, Amanda will have your full weather forecast. For now, a look at the weather warnings we have in place. That yellow is a snowfall warning. We are seeing lake effect snow move its way into our region. 10 to 15 centimeters happening right now. The faded yellow is a alert or a watch, not quite as serious. Those are the current conditions as we see them. A little heavier snow in Parry Sound as we speak, and some snow in Gore Bay. A lot warmer than it was compared to last night, though. We'll have details coming up after the break.
When you see it happen, send it to CTV News. Text 10400 from your screen to ours. Text 10400.
Welcome back. Happy Friday, everyone. We've made it to the weekend. We've had a number of cold days in the forecast, that's for sure. And we have a little bit of reprieve from that heading our way tomorrow. I mean, it's not going to be bathing suit weather or anything like that. We also have a snowfall warning in effect for some certain areas like Espanola, Elliott Lake, Killarney. 15 centimeters of snow expected into Saturday morning, so make sure you take care. There is a couple of flurries on the way throughout this weekend, just a handful here and there, nothing significant. And then by the time the week starts is when we start to see some colder temperatures return. 7-day forecast starting with Sudbury, Nickel Belt. 2 centimeters of snow expected for tomorrow. High of -3, feeling like -11. With the wind chill, chance of flurries on Sunday, high of -9. Flurries on the way for Monday, -14. And a mix of sun and cloud on Tuesday. And chance of flurries returning on Wednesday. Cloudy skies rolling in by Thursday. For Sault Ste. Marie, Algoma, chance of flurries for tomorrow, high of -6. Feeling colder than that with the wind chill. Chance of flurries on Sunday. Heavier flurries heading our way by Monday, high of -13, -26 for the low though, so make sure you bundle up if you're heading out. Cloudy skies on Tuesday, -14, and then by Wednesday, some light snowfall, high of -11. For Timmins, Cochrane, Kapuskasing, 2 centimeters of snow for tomorrow, high of -13, -17 on Sunday. A little bit of sunshine there. By Monday, chance of flurries -20 and -20 on Tuesday, but there is a little bit of sunshine. For Timiskaming Shores, Kirkland Lake, 2 to 4 centimeters of snow, high of -2. Chance of flurries on Sunday. That chance of flurries continuing on into Monday. Temperatures falling to -18 by Tuesday with a mix of sun and cloud. Cloudy skies on Wednesday, high of -14. And finally for North Bay, West Nipissing, 5 to 10 centimeters of snow for tomorrow, high of -2, -9 on Sunday, chance of flurries there. Snowfall rolling through the region on Monday, -12, and by Tuesday, -15, a mix of sun and clouds. So Ian, we are going to see some of those colder conditions continuing, so you're going to want to bundle up. Back to you.
Got my scarf ready. Thanks, Amanda. Well, Kashechewan First Nation is in the middle of a water crisis and wants the federal government to relocate the community. CTV's Lydia Chubak has more tonight from Kashechewan.
The evacuation of hundreds of Kashechewan's members continued this week. A failure with the community's sewage system caused the need for the measure.
Back in December 18, that's when the waterworks people notify us there's something wrong with that pump.
We replaced the pump, put it back in service, and got it operational.
But it was too late. Sewage had backed up into the water supply.
There's supposed to be a backwater valve or check valve on there that appears to have failed.
Indigenous Services Canada issued a do not consume water advisory January 5th. Because this isn't the first time Kashechewan's water system has failed. The chief launched evacuations, and so far around half of the community's 2,500 members have left.
I think this was a shocker to everybody because we had no clue as to what happened way back in December.
The sewage pump's malfunction caused other issues. Wastewater backed up into the nursing station, forcing healthcare workers to relocate and operate from the elementary school. The grade 4 classroom, now the ER. Some fire hydrants froze and crews have to heat them with a propane torch and add salt to maintain them. The high school's sprinkler system also froze, causing water damage. And the water plant's heating system is also broken. This generator supplies the warmth. It's all too much for the community's chief to manage on his own.
I could just sense his frustration and the load, the heavy load that he must be carrying on his shoulders. And that's why I wanted to be here today.
Chief Wesley says last spring the community was given $1.7 million to address some infrastructure issues. Work was underway, but he says while waiting for parts and the sewage pump to come in, the system failed.
Having spare pumps on site would have definitely helped because that could have been an instant resolve to the problem and prevented the backup.
We're not driving down to the city center, pick up a new part and install it, or the heater that's not working right here off to the hardware store to buy the part. It doesn't work like that. And so, the challenge is that communities left with coordinating all of this material coming in, finding the expertise to do it. Many of our communities face that, and sadly, what we've seen here in Kashechewan is a result of that.
As the community works to repair damages, Indigenous leaders are calling government leaders to visit Kashechewan.
If they're waiting for a good time or when things are calm for them to be here, they will never be here. They just need to show up.
No one has met the chief in person yet, but when that happens, he'll also be asking for an update on the agreement signed in 2019 to get the community relocated out of the flood-prone area.
Since that time, there's been very little action from Ontario and Canada to actually implement that agreement.
As the sun goes down on this day in Kashechewan, Indigenous leaders ask all Canadians to stand with them as they continue their fight.
Stand with my children, to stand with my babies, and to stand with the elders, and to stand with my membership. That's my hope as we fight to get a better community.
Kashechewan is located on the banks of the Albany River, which flows north into James Bay. In a matter of weeks, the threat of spring flooding will be added to the long list of problems. Lydia Chubak, CTV News, Kashechewan.
And in an email to CTV News, Indigenous Services Canada says at this time, there's been no reportable E. coli confirmed in patient testing samples. However, tests remain ongoing. Minister of Indigenous Services Canada, Mandy Galmasti, tells CTV News that they are continuing to support leadership. In a statement, she writes, in part, during emergency situations, it is essential that I remain in regular contact with community leadership to ensure needs are being identified and addressed. I spoke with Chief Wesley on Tuesday, and we will continue to connect as needed. Still to come on CTV News. We'll head to the Sudbury Arena where the Wolves face the Firebirds and start a conversation on mental health. More in a moment. It was an action-packed night of hockey across Northern Ontario, but also a night for discussion. Tonight marked Bell Let's Talk Day down at the Sudbury Arena. The Sudbury Wolves facing off against the Flint Firebirds, and photographers managing to catch the boys walking into the rink with their best game day fit. Those blue Bell Let's Talk toques looking very dashing, gentlemen, if I do say so. And they looked hungry for a win. Take a look at this.
Char into the corner, off the skate of Nemitz, couldn't get a shot off. Fans in behind are just calling, shoot, shoot. Lemieux back to Nemitz, now he'll shoot, now he'll score.
Sudbury's newest import, Adam Nemitz, finding the back of the net, only his second goal for Sudbury since arriving in the Nickel City, and the 6th Wolves goal of the night. All of that snowy weather moving through Sudbury, not keeping all the fans at home. One more goal in the third period would make it a 7-2 win for the hometown team. Jean-Christophe Lemieux leaves the game first star with 1 goal and 3 assists. Our other 2 OHL teams on the road tonight, starting in Oshawa, where the North Bay Battalion made quick work of the Oshawa Generals. They're heading out of there with a 5-2 win and a big night for the Sioux Greyhounds. 2 goals in the third helped lift the Hounds to a 3-1 victory over the Guelph Storm. Netminder Carter George, a new acquisition to the Hounds, making 19 saves tonight between the pipes. Meanwhile, an absolute tough night once again for the French River Rapids. They fall 12-0 to the Powassan Voodoo down in Noelville. Sudbury also with a big 7-1 win tonight over the Gold Miners in Kirkland Lake. Hearst falls to the Timmins Rock down at the Max 6-2, and that's no warning in Espanola. Couldn't keep the Paper Kings down. They come out 4-2 over their North Shore rivals, the Blind River Beavers. And the Sioux Michigan Eagles come out on top over the Iroquois Falls Storm by a score of 2-1. The province's first Indigenous-led Heart Hub is now up and running along the North Shore. The Homeless and Addiction Recovery Treatment Hub is operating by Malmwesing North Shore Community Health Services. The locations are in Blind River, Sagamok, Anishinaabeg, and the Indigenous Friendship Center in Sault Ste. Marie. They provide services such as substance use treatment, supportive housing, and mental health case management. Heart Hub officials say this model will help address gaps in the system for Indigenous clients.
It can be challenging for folks to feel like maybe they don't belong in those spaces. So to have a space specifically designed for them, you know, coming from our community with our local knowledge holders and our elders, it's something that, you know, they'll be able to feel comfortable in and respected in and, you know, just feel valued and seen and heard.
Officials say they are still looking to hire a range of employees across their sites to offer services. Finally tonight, a partnership between Sioux Area Hospital and Algoma University has brought color to the sterile walls of the local cancer program. CTV's Corey Nordstrom reports.
Both floors of the Algoma District Cancer Program have been transformed thanks to local university art students, alumni, and faculty.
To see the space, and before we came in, before we painted the walls, before we started hanging up the work, and the atmosphere and how people looked, their posture in the space, and then to come in after or as we were installing and see people standing up and looking at the walls and reading the text on the walls. Yeah, there's nothing as rewarding.
It also presents a rare opportunity for these students.
To have your artwork adopted into a public art collection or a public health space like this is a huge opportunity that usually only happens for mid-career and professional artists.
This marks the second collaboration between the Sioux Area Hospital and Algoma University.
Both for the first project and this project, it's been a welcome distraction from what a lot of patients are going through, and also just brings them a sense of comfort and calm in a challenging time.
Studies have shown the connection between artwork and positive patient outcomes in a medical setting. In order to ensure that sense of comfort and calm, artists did their research, hoping to distract, evoke memories, or inspire.
When a patient stayed a long hour waiting here, and they can look at the fall color and feel like I'm walking on the path. Maybe one day I can fully recover. I can going back to my normal life, and just a little hope bring to them. That'd be wonderful.
In 2024, the first contingent of artists from Algoma University created murals in the hospital's transitional care unit. Officials say this is a partnership that will continue going forward to bring more comforting artwork to the halls of the Sioux Area Hospital. Corey Nordstrom, CTV News, Sault Ste. Marie.
What a beautiful end to our news week. I know that's going to put a lot of smiles on a lot of faces. That takes us to the end of our newscast this Friday night. We hope you have a wonderful weekend, and we'll be right back here Monday evening. Until then, for the latest news anytime, remember you can head to our website, ctvnewsnorthernontario.ca. You can also download our CTV News app. Thanks for watching. Stay warm. Good night.